peeps. It's Coach Shawnee coming to talk to you today. It's been, 2 weeks? Not so long this time, right? Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about something that I had a conversation about the other day. You know, I'm always coming to you with the things that I've learned, right? Or the things that I've come to understand in this life living this life in 4G. So today I am turning down my cell phone, but I wanted to just kind of talk to you about a question that I was actually talking with one of my relatives about the other day. It's something that I've always asked myself. Well, not always asked myself, but over the last 7 or 8 years, I've asked myself that question internally a lot. And so, we were sharing about our lives, his life, my life, and really it was a, impromptu coaching session of sorts. And we just started talking about all the things that were going on in his world and how his world was changing and how he wanted it to be one way, but it was another way. That's always the way it is with everybody's life, right? We always want it to be one way, but we don't know really what to do to enact it to become the other thing. So I shared with him the question that I, I'm really passionate about, actually. The question is, what must I do to be saved? Now, when you think about that question, okay, the question actually comes from a couple places in the Bible. You think about the rich young ruler who asked Jesus, what did I do to be saved, or inherit the kingdom, right? And he said, Jesus told him, sell all your stuff and give it all to the poor and come and follow me. Which is really a juicy story. And I'll probably kind of talk about that a little bit in this, but more so I wanted to talk about the story of Paul and Silas and how, so this is not a Bible lesson per se. It's more of an application of principle for your life that makes your life what it needs to be. As you all know, I'm a Christian. So my basis for my teaching comes from what I've learned in my life following, the teachings of Christ in the Bible. So take the lesson for what it is. If you need to tune out all the other stuff that has to do with the Bible, do what you have to do. But the lesson is rich enough for you to actually stop the ego things that keep you from getting to the next place and grabbing a hold of just the important parts of the lesson for you. So, back to the story. Paul and Silas in jail, right? They've been thrown in jail because of some stuff that they did to actually help someone. But the people who owned that girl decided, this is not good. So they had Paul and Silas, beaten and flogged and thrown in jail. So rather than Paul and Silas being upset about the whole process, they had a praise fest in the middle of their cell. And another part of it is they began to pray. I don't know what they were praying about. I don't know if they might have, I don't know. Who knows? But at the same time that they were praying, an earthquake happened. And the earthquake was so big that it shook the chains off of them and shook the doors open in the prison. And everybody that was in prison ran out. So the jailkeeper came back distraught, looking specifically for Paul and Silas. And Paul and Silas were like, don't worry about it. We here. We hanging out. We chilling. We here, right? And the jailkeeper turned to them and said, what must I do to be saved? Because at that point, he was like, okay, your God is better, greater, right? Or whatever. But the point of the lesson or the point of the story is the question that he asked Paul was really simple. It was, what must I do to be saved? And Christians usually think that this is all about him and his salvation and him coming to Christ. And that's it. You ask that question about being saved when you get saved, you're done. That question is over for you. It doesn't really apply to your life anymore because now you're a Christian, right? Wrong. The juiciness of what must I do to be saved is actually in the answer that Paul gave to the man. So Paul said to him, believe on Jesus Christ and you and your household will be saved. So here's the part that gets real juicy. We think of it as, believe on Jesus, believe on his power, believe his word, blah, 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 and then he's saved, and boom, that's it. But it really and truly is an applicable thing for every area of your life. So I've been going through this process of growth and development, as you guys know. And one of the things that question has prompted for me is growth in every area of my life. When I was going through financial difficulties and I didn't really know what to do, and every once in a while, you still go through that stuff, and you ask about the fundamentals of what it takes to be saved from that. Like, what must I do to be saved? So Paul's answer was believe, right? But in belief, there are a few things that take place. First of all, you have to change your process of thinking. Then you have to accept a new thing as truth, right? And then from there, you have to actually change the way that you do what you do, the responses and the reactions that you have, and then a different outcome happens. But the work happens in the belief. So what must I do to be saved from financial crisis? I must believe. I must change my fundamental thought processes about money. I must believe that there is something different that I am not doing, that I need to start doing, that will get me out of the mess. Then I need to go and search and find it and take it in as my own and get rid of the stuff that does not serve the end goal of salvation from financial ruin. After I do that, right, then I have to actually do the work. I have to start doing the budgets. I have to start really doing all the things that make me make more money. I have to stop spending crazy if I don't have money. I have to actually watch my money. I need to know where every dollar goes every day. That process of learning, right? I need to get people around me that know more about money than I do. So that when I get to that place of what must I do to be saved, and belief really takes hold of me, because when you really believe something, when you really understand it fundamentally at the root, you change what you're doing if it doesn't match what you've been doing to match up with the belief that you have. It's automatic, right? So once you get that belief in you, then salvation happens. Then your money starts growing. Then your bank account stops being negative. Then you stop getting negative fees. Then you actually start getting good credit. You start paying your bills on time. Then you start the process of living a life of financial abundance. But that doesn't happen without asking the question of what must I do to be saved? That's why I said this is a really, really, really juicy lesson, because it actually comes from something that people completely miss. Think about it in terms of your business. When you're starting to have great stuff go on in your business, when you're starting to have connections and you're starting to have all these things that are great, that are happening for you, the next thing is, oh my God, how can I take advantage of this? What must I do to be saved? What must I do to grow my business? How can I bring salvation to my business? What must I do? I must network. I must create a business plan. I must actually have people around me that advise me on business. I must do the things that I don't know to do because I've been advised to do them. I must learn more. I must grow more. I must actually delegate and actually push to have more. And when I do that, the salvation comes and my business flourishes. Right? So the idea of what must I do to be saved literally can transform every area of your existence. And it has everything to do with you living a life according to living full, like we talked about, and leaving empty. The basics of salvation in any area. Right? Salvation, not just being a Christian, but salvation in every area, in health. Like, what must I do to be saved? What must I do to get the blood pressure pill out of my life? Is it possible? Right? First, I got to believe it's possible. Then I have to do all the things that I would not normally do to get it done. I got to change my eating habits. I got to watch my salt intake. I got to watch the things that make my blood pressure go up and down. I have to learn about high blood pressure. I actually have to do my own research. Then I have to find other people, other practitioners, other things that literally support my blood flow and my blood pressure health. After I do that, blood pressure pills, less and less until they're gone. What must I do to be saved? Really, really simple, but very powerful and juicy, very juicy topic that I wanted to make sure that I brought to you today, because it's very key for also living life in 4G. Think about living life in 4G. What must I do to be saved? How can I live a life of giving? What must I do to live a life in God? How many ways do I need to stay connected? How many ways can I get connected? What things need to go? What things need to stay? How many ways can I get connected to being in God that will produce the right kind of fruit? How many ways can I live a life of giving? How many things can I give away? How much of myself can I give away? How many ways can I bless other people? Like, there are layers and layers and layers of that. How many ways can I live a life of gratitude? Like, that's amazing right there. That whole thing of just taking in gratitude on every level for a long time. What do I need to change so that my gratitude level shifts higher? And what can I do to live unapologetically in my greatness? What can I do to be saved from fear of shining my light? What can I do? What must I do to have the things that were promised to me? What must I do to live the life that was formulated in my DNA? What must I do to be saved? Powerful, juicy question that I wanted to bring to you today from a conversation that I had with a loved one. I want you to take that information, take the question, and ask the question of yourself in this time of harvest and this time of regeneration and planting, growing, grabbing things from the crops. Grab the crops of the answers from what must I do to be saved. And then spring is coming, so plant that stuff so that you can have a harvest from that this time next year. Life in 4G is living a life in God. Living a life of giving, living a life of gratitude, and living unapologetically in your greatness. What must I do to be saved? Really simple question. Very juicy answer. If you like this video, please like it. Please share it. And please comment below. Also, you can find me on Facebook at Coach Darnay, at Facebook.com/Coach Darnay. Or you can also find me in other blog posts and vlog posts at my website, DawnOry.com. It's been a pleasure being with you all this time on this journey. Bye, peeps.